I have yesterday's newspaper with me. When I say newspaper, it is a well-regarded newspaper, trade newspaper, not given to any kind of excesses in language or even in taking sides. So I refer first of all to that paper and the reports that have come out in that paper. First, that paper has a headline on the left side, India's goods trade deficit at 42-month low. So let me say again, that's a positive note that our merchandised goods trade deficit is at a 42-month low. Get it? Now, when you have a headline like this, normally what would you think? God, that's something terrific. So we are up. And normally such a trade deficit is made good by an increase in exports over imports. So your exports should do well and your imports are kind of controlled, and then you have a goods trade deficit at a low. Your deficit has shrunk, good thing, that kind of thing. But the fact is otherwise. If exports were the main player in bringing down this, the fact is our exports have been always very anemic, very weak. Not a player at all in this deficit thing. Not at all a player. So then the report is, let me honestly say, it is something that is contrived. No one in his senses would come out with a report like this, which is all very loosely worded, so that sometimes you're speaking of some year and then straight away you're speaking about something else. Whenever it is statistics, it's very simple. I compare my weight today, 2025, with my weight, say, 10 years ago, give it a specific month or year. I compare my weight statistically to last year this month, that kind of thing. This is a very rudimentary example. A statistic comparison should have a base. That's simple. Now, this whole thing, let me honestly say, is deliberately contrived. That's very clear. No one in a senses would do that. And then, of course, there is a graph shown, meaningless graph. You have to take my word. This is honestly speaking. I don't want to inflict these statistics on you. Far from it. That's number one. And this has not been my first experience over these past maybe 2 months or so. When I've been doing these videos, the first thing that I've asked is, where are the facts? What are the facts? And my God, I have been really, troubled by the fact that I have no statistics. Because the moment I try to refer to some statistics, it isn't there. As the head or the tail or something will be missing. This has been happening for quite a while from the very beginning, whether it is a poverty estimate, hunger, or any comparison that I have made in the past on statistics, I've had to drive blind. And only recently, I was amazed to look at the absence of actual figures while doing the video, very recent one on our sovereign gold bonds. Now that's the scheme where we have, after a lot of trying and referring, we've lost at least 1,40,000 crore. And the figure is climbing because these bonds are coming up for redemption in the coming months, and gold prices are going through the roof. That's just a recent example. So, what's going on? I must quite honestly say that my inference is that this is deliberate. That for some time now, a show of information, a pretense of giving information is there, but not real information. This is more insidious than bluntly saying, we are not going to give you any information. This has been there. It is some graph or some statistic, and then you read it, you don't get any information, and you say to yourself, oh, you must be a dumb person because this must be some great punditry, and therefore you are missing the point, and you go on. And then the fact is that our attention span has become limited because of this 24-hour cycle of news, always dominating, people speaking breathlessly on some peripheral matter, making a lot of noise. And therefore we think, oh, all those people are the people who are giving information, this is nothing, so I'll follow this kind of 24-hour news cycle. All kinds of channels. The social media has been an enabler in this process, no doubt about that. Let me go on, I'll try to conclude later. Let me try to say a couple of things. On the same page below there is a thing like, I won't inflict this whole thing on you, but I just copied what is written there. While meeting one of these top people, bureaucrats in the United States, the lady is heading some kind of security, intelligence and security establishment. I'm not bothered about the designation. She's an important figure there. I mean, among the bureaucrats, among the cabinet ministers and things like that. Anyway, she came there. She's the US intelligence setups, intelligence and security setup. The report says that is attributed to the government. Our defense minister, the defense minister, conveyed that this SFG, Seeks for Justice, was involved in terrorist activities. Now, mark my words, this is from the paper, which was put out through some government agency, but copied by this very nice, interesting paper. He asked the US to act against them and declare them a terrorist organization. An official source said of the meeting. Now, please note the word. So a person who reads that says, wow, the defense minister asked this official or this cabinet minister, whatever it is, to act against this terrorist organization, some kind of fringe organization. There it is. Now, you got that point, he asked them. This is not because they don't know the English. You ask your secretary, you on the intercom, don't allow any calls to come in. I'm busy with the meeting. No more calls, right? That is asking my secretary to do something. This is the way. So we now get the impression that here India is the leader, the world leader, telling the United States, you better do this. That kind of thing. That is the thing, subtly. That's the impression that you get. The facts may be otherwise. On the same page, there are lots of what are called another category, bureaucraties. That is gobbledygook or convoluted language, which gives an impression that we are in control, we are going to do something, and so on. You'd have to put up with me or bear with me. India, and that is the Commerce Ministry official in this, Secretary Department of Commerce, talking to his counterpart or something like that. India and the US are proactively engaged. Look at that. That's bureaucratic. That is gobbledygook, convoluted language. Proactively engaged in boosting trade between the two countries. Oh, so we get the impression, God, this is something is going to come up, boosting and all that. Boosting trade. Then discussing mutually beneficial issues. And the talks were positive. Now, the word positive is again bureaucratic, because you got to say something about the talk. Normally, you test for HIV or something like that, you say it's positive. There is a lab kind of phrase, positive. The talks were positive. And the talks were taking place within the framework of Mission 500. And now you get that impression that we are in control. We are saying all these things and boosting and all that. And then positive. What are the facts? The fact is that we have not moved an inch or even a millimeter on this business of reciprocal tariffs. That is the fact. And this is the impression being conveyed. Now, this is not new to me at all, because this has been happening in my experience, and I would have to go through, with these inferences that come to me as a result of my looking at this. What are my observations? And that's the substance of the talk. I am reminded of George Orwell's 1984. Newspeak, a language which controls our thought. And wherever we look at it, there is a control of thought going on against a very favorable environment of breathless 24 hours cycle of social media, interactions and news by self-proclaimed experts on all kinds of things, a lot of noise. Noise is used within inverted commas because then you can easily slip into it all these kinds of half-truths, evasions, easily within this noise. And because people are all losing their attention and their power of concentration, and the attention span is being reduced day by day, they think that everything is good. So whatever they say, the headline is good. They don't even think about it. So we are in this kind of illusionary information coming in, and we think we got some information. It's just the contrary. So what can we call this? This is there used to be an iron curtain. Now I would call this some kind of a bamboo, not even a bamboo curtain would mean Chinese, maybe a paper curtain, a fog curtain that is created by the bureaucraties, this language used by bureaucrats, and selective and confusing use of statistics and graphs to show a different truth, other than the truth. The different perception should come to us. This is, to my mind, more insidious than the blunt censorship that we can see in any kind of authoritarian regime. This is a slow process whereby the right to information is diluted in one way or the other. Another phenomena, I won't say it is something, I would not lay the blame on somebody. This is happening. This is a fact. Every day our attention is diverted to something else. It is not that there is every day a Kumbh Mela, but there's always something dramatic happening which fills up even the space of a pretty decent paper that I have. Say, for example, there is some kind of disturbance or loss of lives or violence relating to some 300-year-old emperor somewhere. Bang, it is there in the news, and we read that something. So within that short attention span, we are again distracted. We have very little attention left to ourselves. This is a process that I see, that I've experienced, and I ask myself, where are we going? I don't get any information, solid, good information to speak to you. I have to make inferences. Inferences are not the same as facts. And my inferences need not be right, except the fact that I speak honestly. I have no axe to grind. But I must speak to my viewers that this is happening, and we should take note of this and try to the best possible extent to sift our mind, all the noise on one side, and see what the facts are on the other.